Great, thank you, Chi. So now we've sort of given you some guidance around making your social media posts accessible. We're going to transition into videos now, and sometimes your social media posts will have videos, right? So we want to make sure that you know some things about making your videos accessible, and that is mainly through captions, audio descriptions, and transcripts, right? And then when you're posting, you should be sort of aware of a few things so that you can properly, tag or title your videos based on their accessibility. So captions, the next slide, are, I think most people are familiar with what captions are. They are basically, written text of sound and dialogue, right? So if you have a video, the captions would be writing out loud what people are saying, as well as mentioning the audio and any sounds and music that are relevant. So we have another screenshot here.
Yeah, so this is the same screenshot for an animation movie. And in the first one, it shows you what a caption looks like. And it describes the pig named Pua grunting. So Pua grunts in brackets. And then for the dialogue, the next line is "We are okay, Pua." And for subtitles, it is the same imagery with the dialogue in Spanish that reads "Estamos bien, Pua."
Awesome. And so there is a difference between captions and subtitles, and that's the point of this slide. And that's the title actually of the slide as well. So subtitles are written translations. So subtitles are strictly dialogue. So they do not include anything about sounds. They do not include anything about the music. That's the difference. Captions do include that stuff. So captions will include the dialogue. So if somebody said something, and it might actually have that person's name as well. If the narrator who's not on screen says something, captions will have that, and they will the captions will also note that it's coming from the narrator. If somebody said something off screen, right, that will be also included in the captions and labeled off screen. If there is a song playing and it's relevant to the scene, then the captions will have musical notes and the name of that song. If any sounds happen that are important to the plot or the video, they will also be included in the captions, such as, sound of a door opening off screen, right? Or something like that. Okay, so next slide. So closed captions versus open captions. So closed captions, basically, it's very kind of simple difference. Closed captions could be turned on and off. So if you go on YouTube, you can turn captions on and off. Open captions are actually embedded into the video and cannot be turned off. So there are a lot of folks who prefer open captions just because they want to make sure that things are captioned and will always be there. But closed captions are also very popular and very helpful for folks. And I think the difference also being that closed captions, depending on what platform you're using, could be customized more easily, whereas open captions cannot because they're just part of the video. We have a screenshot here, Chi.
Yeah, so on here, there are two screenshots. The first one shows you what a closed caption looks like, and it's on YouTube for a TEDx talk. The caption is turned on when you click on the CC button on your YouTube player, and it reads "Power of environment around you and the impacts it has on your mindset." Again, there is a black bar behind the text itself to increase the color contrast to make it easier for people to read the caption. The next one is an example of open captions. It is burned onto the video in the process of producing it and exporting it. Here, there is a speaker wearing a pink shirt, and it reads, "We are kicking off the NYC Counts contest series, so you can go." And then the next screen will have the rest of the sentence. Here, this video is posted on Twitter, so the caption is burned on because about 80 to 90% of users on social media have their sounds turned off, whether or not they have a disability or not. So when you have burned on captions on social media, it guarantees that a person who's just scrolling through will be able to read whatever that video is without having to play the sound wherever they are.
Thank you, Chi.
The next slide is audio
Audio
description.
description. Okay, so for folks who are, and we can, if we have time, um, we could possibly play this video at the end. So as an example, so for folks who are blind, you can make videos accessible through something called audio description. And the very last bullet here is what I'm going to read first, actually, which is think about audio description as the audiobook version of your video. So you're describing the following. You're reading any texts or graphics that appear on screen. So it's a recorded voice on top of your video. Kind of like a narrator, specifically for folks who are blind. So it is an extra voice track and it's recorded. And, you know, it includes things like introducing characters as they come in to the scene, maybe describing, you know, one or two things about them, like hair color or maybe a specific outfit that they're wearing, describing any important visual events or actions that these characters perform, you know, whether it's they write on the blackboard or they pick up, you know, object X or something like that. As well as, you know, lets folks know when they leave. So it's just, like I said, it kind of does a lot of what a narrator does in a book, right? It kind of sets the scene and actions and characters for those who cannot see the videos. And so we have a screenshot here of the Frozen trailer, which, you know, if depending on Matt and Chi, if you guys agree, maybe we could play that trailer at the end if we have a few minutes.
Yeah, so for now, the screenshot of the trailer is an audio description in the form of captions for what is going on in this scene. It's that snowman shuffles up to the purple flower peeping out of the deep snow. And we also have the link to the trailer here so you can watch the whole thing, it's very fun to watch.
It is. It's definitely one of my favorite audio described videos. Okay, so moving beyond that, we have transcripts. And transcripts are, you know, a written out version of the audio in your video. So it's separate, it's not part of the video. And, you know, a lot of folks prefer that. It gives folks access outside of the video, maybe folks who are deaf and blind, who cannot hear or see the video. It gives them a chance to experience the content of that video in an accessible form. They have technology that will turn that any text that is accessible anyway, that into real-time Braille that they could feel with their refreshable Braille devices. But generally, you know, transcripts are for folks who are deaf, and you want to time code each statement. So, you know, at 1 minute and 2 seconds, chi, colon, and then whatever she said. And, you know, just like the captions, you want to include sounds and audio and music as well and time code that. And if you want to go the extra step as well, you know, you can include the audio descriptions in the transcript as well. So that will include folks who are deaf and blind, which rarely have access to accessible video content. So if there is a transcript that has both, the audio, sounds, dialogue, as well as the descriptions of the video, that will include that population. Transcripts are good for accessibility, but they also help with search engine optimization. It's easier to search for your video if you have a transcript of that video, possibly either in the description field of your video on YouTube, or if there's a link to it somewhere that links back to the video.
So on here, there is also a screenshot of what an example transcript could look like. There is an option for the user to toggle through the different languages. So here you are seeing it in English. And then there are also time code and the transcript, and it tells you who is speaking in brackets. And there's also when there is music, like the song Never Gonna Give You Up, when it comes on, there are musical notes to indicate that the song is playing.
Yeah, and you want to also make sure that you promote the accessible versions of your content as well. So if there's a new trailer or commercial or advertisement that you're putting out, or new, you know, video, whether it's promo video or anything like that, put it out on social media and then put out the audio described version, right? Put out the transcript, tweet those things so that folks can easily access them as well. So next slide is posting your video. So include the title and description fields. So in YouTube, make sure to use the title and description field. And in the description field, you should include the following, but let's go back a minute. And so unfortunately, YouTube and Vimeo and a lot of the bigger platforms, they don't support having an extra audio channel. So you can't have one video and just add audio description for it. The way that it's typically done is folks will, have the audio described version and the non-described version, and they will post both. So two different versions that they post, one without description and one with description. And so you should include in the title which one is audio described, right? So let's make up a name for, or the TEDx, right? So TEDx video with audio description, right? So that would be your title. Or TEDx video, TEDx talk or whatever, TEDx promo with a non-described version, right? That could be in your title as well. And we encourage folks to also point to the accessible version. So in your non-described version, include a link to the audio described version of your video and include a link to the transcript so that folks, are able to find that easily, because they're most likely, right? They're most likely to stumble upon the version of your video that is most popular, which will probably be just the regular non-described one. So if they can find the accessible version from the description, right, then it's a win for everybody. Do we have an image here? Did we already describe it?
Yes, there is an image. If you go on YouTube, the TEDx channel, they have a great example of what a description could be like for your video. Here is a screenshot of TEDx talk on the urgency of intersectionality by Kimberly Crenshaw. And in the description, they talk more about what this video is about so people know what to expect. And in there's a bunch of keywords that would make it easier for this video to come up in searches. Then they talk about what their organization is and where you can find closed captions and translated subtitles in many different languages for this one video and the link to that. So use this space for you to get better search results and get your organizations out there. And the more accessibility features you have, the easier it is for a person with disability to be able to find your content because of what you put in your description.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, if you are, first you're making your videos accessible, you're reaching the disability community, which is great. You're reaching a wider audience, but you're also possibly getting new followers and fans and customers, right? Um, and on top of that, you're creating a good brand image for yourself that, you are doing something um, that is inclusive, right? And that is beneficial and benevolent for our society. So there's definitely a lot of good reasons to do it. Our next slide